Good day, Amberland and all friends of Revolt Update. Thank you for joining me on this particular broadcast. I'm very excited today to make this presentation. It's actually just going to be a brief presentation. Thank you for joining in. And if this is your first time joining Revolt Update, if you're on Facebook, please follow us on Facebook on Revolt Update. Click that follow and share this video so that every Ambazonian and friends of Ambazonians and everyone who wants the Ambazonian Republic conflict to be resolved, to be informed, to be educated, so we can continue to push for a resolution to this conflict. And please, if you're on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Revolt Update. And on Twitter, we're also on Twitter at Updates Revolt. Thank you for joining. Please subscribe. Let me take this opportunity to give my opinion and comment on the ongoing discussions on the Ambazonian social media space pertaining to the recent publication of the SOCADEV of Dr. Akwanga Ebenezer, one of Ambazonian activists. This publication have been making rounds on the social media, and we saw how the BBC and some other media have been reporting on this, alleging from the very beginning, they alleged that Ambazonian fighters have declared a ceasefire because of this coronavirus. First of all, I just want to take this opportunity to salute our restoration forces on Ground Zero who are fighting for their existence. What befell Ambazonia since 2016 is the same it's as toxic as the coronavirus itself. It's just like saying the coronavirus, we can stand down for the coronavirus to take its course. The Bia virus is as dangerous as the coronavirus, and this is not a moment for any ceasefire, because you cannot cease fire against a virus. Ambazonia is fighting a dual virus at this time, which is the Bia virus and the coronavirus. So unlike the rest of the world who are faced with a coronavirus, the Ambazonian people are currently faced with a Bia virus, which is just as dangerous, are trying to claim 8 million lives, just like the coronavirus is claiming lives around the world. Unfortunately, the coronavirus can be curbed by simply applying some simple, healthy, hygienic protocols. However, for the Bia virus that have already claimed more than 15,000 Ambazonian lives, have not yet had even protocols for such for such a virus to be contained nor be eliminated. For the moment, Ambazonians continue to fight this Bia virus with all that they've got. The story of a ceasefire by the SOCADEV is just like a soldier in the battlefield who gets tired and have just chosen to take the back line. There's been no ceasefire by the Ambazonian resistance movement. Ambazonians are fighting the Bia virus and the coronavirus at the same time. That is actually what is going on, fellow Ambazonians and friends of Ambazonians. So the press release by the SOCADEV forces, a tiny unit of the Ambazonian resistance movement against French Cameroon's occupation, they have just declared how tired they have become in the face of this fighting, which is a normal course in any battle. So they're probably currently just taking a rest while other Ambazonian forces continue the fight against the Bia virus. And at the same time, the Ambazonian people fighting the coronavirus. So this is actually the situation of things. And for every other media, the BBC and all other media organs who are asking questions about what this press release meant, that is the situation in Ambazonia right now. That is the context. I wanted just to put all of this in perspective so that anyone who is following this information doesn't get confused and think that in the midst of any kind of genocide like this one, there can be any unilateral ceasefire by a people fighting for their own very existence. You cannot back off from that. There is only one choice. Your backs are against the wall. There's only one option, and that option is to get off the wall. Getting off the wall means pushing La Republique back to its front lines. And that is the current situation with the Amazonian struggle. We are aware of the coronavirus that is ravaging population around the world. And we are doing everything possible at the Amazonian level to support our people fight the coronavirus. And unfortunately, we are also caught up in the Bia virus that Amazonians have been fighting already now for over 4 years. The questions that we want to push back to this international media and organizations that are referencing this break by the SOCADEF forces is, what have you been doing for 4 years that 15,000 Amazonians have lost their lives? This has been the virus on the backs of the Amazonian people, and we have been calling for your support all along. It is not time to score any kind of political points, and the manipulations from HD Swiss alleged negotiations, we see that in play here, and we understand it. I want to salute my able colleague, Comrade Tima, who brought to our attention the talking points of Dr. Akwanga Ebenezer, Comrade Dr. Akwanga Ebenezer, who was basically just repeating the talking points of Alexandra, who is the mastermind behind what who subscribe to whatever the HD has been doing. He's just been repeating their talking points all along. We understand this, and we respect the position of Dr. Akwanga Ebenezer and his forces, who I repeat, form a tiny percentage of the Amazonian forces fighting against the occupation of French Cameroon in Amazonia. It is okay for them to take a break while the rest of Amazonia continue the resistance movement. The rest of the Amazonian forces are defending all the SOCADEFians and the entire 8 million Amazonian people. The Amazonian territory will continue to be defended and protected until Cameroon is defeated or Cameroon surrenders. That is the end game here. Amazonians' independence and the control of Amazonian homeland by Amazonians. Any kind of rigmarole will not work at this time, and we urge anyone who is interested, be it media or world powers, to get this fact straight and know where the Amazonian people stand. In as much as we will always have situations like this where manipulators will try to come in, like it was mentioned that Dr. Akwanga is simply just repeating Alexander's talking point. That is aside, but we are focused on the mission. Amazonians know what they are looking for. We understand the complexity of the two viruses that we are fighting against right now, the Bia virus and the coronavirus. We need the support of anyone who wants to save 8 million lives to stand with the people of Amazonia. And standing with the people of Amazonia is calling La République du Cameroun to a table to negotiate that ceasefire. There is no ceasefire that is declared in a vacuum. No one ceases fire when fire continues to rain upon him and his people. So there is no ceasefire. The publication or the press release from the SOCADEF was definitely just a misrepresentation or a bad choice of words, or the wrong choice of the words for actually what they wanted to portray. So this is again what is happening in Amazonia, and there's not been any ceasefire. And I wanted just to make sure that our Revolt Update followers get this point straight, and for the international community, world leaders, and the BBC that I'm calling out here straight up for their lack of investigation and coordination to get facts correctly before reporting. they have been the streaming down of the original publication that came out from BBC, trying now to specify that it is all about the SOCADEF, but the initial report was trying to bundle up the whole of Ambazonia, which is not the case. And again, the SOCADEF form a tiny fraction of the Ambazonian fighting forces. And the crony nature of the demands there, saying that other fighting groups should follow the footsteps of SOCADEF. That is not going to happen. The fighting is against La République du Cameroun and not Ambazonians within themselves to be dropping, to be seizing fire, to be seizing fire between them. If there is going to be any kind of ceasefire, the discussion should be between La République du Cameroun and the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. So when we see this kinds of play, both by the media and by manipulators, we want to call it out for what it is. I would like to take a pause here and end this broadcast, this particular episode, with this message today from one of Ambazonian's strongest fighting forces on the ground, representing by Dr. Lucas Cho Ayaba, who today gave a very resounding response to all of what is going on. To put everything into perspective, this is just to add more meat to what I have already said. Dr. Cho Ayaba put it plain and square.
And so when the Swiss so-called charade was called, we studied the articulations, we studied the posture, we studied the procedure, and we came to the conclusion that the Swiss charade was not designed to resolve the conflict between Ambazonia and Cameroon. It was designed to restore the status quo, restore peace without justice, and keep Ambazonia in perpetual servitude under Cameroon. We said this clearly to the Swiss. We said this clearly to the Americans. We told this clearly to the Europeans. We made it absolutely clear that we have watched this movie before. And the millions of our people displaced, those jailed, those who lost their lives, have not gone through this tragedy for the restoration of status quo ante that keeps us as slaves under an unstable, ill-fated, decadent political system. We rejected outrightly, but we didn't stop there. We presented to the international community an alternative procedure that will win the admiration not only of Cameroon and Ambazonians, but all those who are concerned with the resolution of the conflict. And I can assure you that they accepted the premise of our articulations and our presentations as a proper way of dealing with this conflict. We told them it was impossible for such a complex conflict to be allowed in the hands of the Swiss government alone, because our people do not trust Switzerland. But we compromised by saying we were prepared to move to Geneva to sign the final treaty of surrender. But the process of negotiation should be multilateral. We went further to connect Switzerland and other countries with other countries. They held discussions. My people. There are a lot of things that we cannot articulate out. But take note, we did not only reject what the Swiss presented, we presented an alternative that was accepted. We said the process must be multilateral. We did not only stop there, we presented countries to them. They entered into discussions. And we told them exactly how we could bring Ambazonian leaders together and how we could begin discussions. We didn't end there, Ambazonians. We went further. We told the world that sometimes discussing the root causes of conflict are difficult. So we may build confidence by starting to discuss issues like education, that Cameroon will stop from going into areas that we control, so that community educations can be supervised by agencies of the United Nations. We presented these plans to these agencies of the United Nations. We also told the world we could enter into discussions on issues of IDPs, how they could be protected. And we presented a plan for this. For all those who've attacked the Ambazonian Governing Council and its leadership for simply rejecting proposals, no, we do not simply reject proposals. We present viable alternatives that will stand the test of time. My people, we rush into Switzerland without doing our homework, without studying the act of the deal, without understanding the position of the international actors, without forcing Cameroon to commit, without putting the fate of our prisoners on the table, without talking about the plight of our people. We moved like sheep to the slaughter. And what happened? The same United Nations that is greeting a unilateral ceasefire, the European Union, the Americans and the others immediately moved to support the Swiss process. This movie looks familiar. And why they did that was to put psychological pressure on the Ambazonian Governing Council to join that charade and to surrender the march to independence. We stood our ground despite the attacks, despite the blackmail, despite the sabotage. And we said, for all those who prefer this approach, you could move ahead. If the process was okay, and as I have said, I don't blame anyone. I blame the international system, and I blame the lack of commitment by Cameroon for the near collapse. But they haven't stopped there. The implications of a unilateral ceasefire are grave. We aren't simply fighting to defend the independence that was reaffirmed. We are also fighting to protect the lives of our people, to stop the genocide on our people, to protect our towns and villages from being burned down by the marauders army of a defeated system. We are trying to demonstrate, in the absence of the invocation of the responsibility to protect by the international system, our right under the sun to defend ourselves, protect our dignity and our lives. We are not only fighting to defend that independence, we are fighting to stay alive. And the declaration of unilateral ceasefire does not address the question of what happens to Cameroon's forces, does not prescribe how these forces will be stopped when they make moves like they did in Gabo to massacre people. Unilateral ceasefire is an abdication of duty, leaving your century a surrender in the face of genocide. And so when I come out again to reject it, you may call me names. You may say what you want to say. But I'll live and stand and die on principles that save the Ambazonian people. Issues that are properly discussed by policy teams, articulated within the context of an international system which we have well studied. You must know, Cameroon is not an actor that has been restrained historically. Cameroon is not an actor that respects customary and treaty norms. Cameroon is a failed state, defeated in our homeland, and is using the last stance in our country to massacre our people. Our job as leaders is primarily to defend the interests of the Ambazonian people. Our job as leaders is primarily to stand for Ambazonia. And every leader must put Ambazonia first, the interest of our country first. This cosmetic approach of surrender in the face of pressure from an international system that has failed to invoke Kofi Annan's principle of POC, or the post-genocide Rwanda principle of responsibility to protect. It's not a system that can prescribe a solution at this particular stage. As leader of the Ambazonian Governing Council, leader of your war of independence, I call on our soldiers on the ground to raise your guns high in the air. Defend every inch, every block of our territory anytime. I call on the Ambazonian people to shift their focus on politicking and commit to the defense of our country. Commit to arming our people to the teeth to make sure the independence restored, proclaimed, and affirmed is defended. The lives of the Ambazonian people is defended. Go sign up on TTOF. Commit monthly for the defense of your country. As long as I live, we will never submit to any shallow political prescription that does not have as intention the withdrawal of Cameroon from our country, the total freedom of Ambazonia, the release of our prisoners, and the bringing back of our IDPs and refugees in the land of their birth. We will not submit to a system and a process that rob us of sovereignty and control of our territorial integrity. God bless Ambazonia, a luta continua, Victoria Aseta.
Again, fellow viewers, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel, continue to watch, invite your friends, share this video for your friends and all lovers of Ambazonians and peace lovers to stay glued to this channel, Revolt Update, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. Please follow us and subscribe as well. God bless you. Peace.